Today we are painting the 10th page of the Fairy Tales and Legends watercolor coloring book. Welcome to the Wandering Watercolor. Let's get started. So this is the 10th page of the Fairy Tales and Legends watercoloring book that I make. And when we are finished, we are aiming to have something that resembles this. This should be a pretty straightforward tutorial, not a lot of colors, and yeah, basically all you need is your scrap piece of paper, something to mix your colors on. I suggest like a porcelain or a glass dish, your paint, a little jar of water on the side or a cup, and a rag. Now, I always like to wet my paints before I start, just it makes it easier to work with them. And yeah, let's get going. So the first thing is, we just need to mix a very light gray. So I'm grabbing some black. If you don't have black, just mixing brown and blue should give you a decent gray. I'm making this gray to be more on the side of blue, just because there's a lot of blue in the background, so it's kind of like a atmosphere influencing the gray. The horse, or the Pegasus I should say, is white, so the shadows that we paint on it will be gray, but we want them to have a little bit of a blue tint to them. So let's see, we'll go right here. Well, actually we want it to be a little lighter, just a little lighter, like that's too dark. So yeah, that's good. So we'll go right there, like that, and on the back leg here, like that, going down, same right here, like that, and a little bit of a emphasize on the muscles there in the hind leg, and then also some shade here, and then the front leg here, and then this, like that, and then underneath the mouth here, or the muzzle I guess. Dry off my brush and then pick up some of that color. There we go. And then behind the ear a little bit, and then going in here on the wings, we're just gonna color a bunch of this back here like this, and then as the wings as the feathers on the wings get bigger, we're just gonna go in individually and give them some shade one at a time, like that. Maybe need a little more pigment in that. There we go, like that, like that. The light is coming from the upper left hand side, so it's like hitting it down at an angle like that. So back here, add some shade on the feathers, and then the little feathers right here, we can kind of fill them in a little more, and then just a little bit towards the top, and then a little bit to show the wing right there. Okay, so far so good. Pretty simple, straight and forward. Now we're gonna add a little brown actually. I'm gonna add a little brown here and a little of the dark blue. A little more. Oh, that's maybe too much. And a little more brown. So we're gonna get a little different shade of brown, or gray I mean. A little different shade of gray, a little darker. So just to compare it side by side, this is what we're going for. We're just gonna use that to color in the tail and the mane, and just go right in, just a flat wash all the way through. Pretty straightforward. the entire tail. It looks good. And then the mane. There we go. Okay. Alright, it looks good. I'm going to dry off my brush and then pick up some of the excess over here. There we go. Rinse off the brush. Get a little bit of the black here. So this, we want to dilute it with a bunch of water. We want to get something like that. This is just straight for the hooves. Right there, right there, right there, right there. And dry off my brush again, pick up the excess. Pick up the excess here. Pick up the excess. And also pick up the excess here. Okay. Rinse my brush. Looking good. Next, we gotta color in the grass here. We're just gonna grab a little bit of that. We're also gonna get just a little bit of brown just to mix in with that. We don't want it to be, we don't want the grass to be too, how do I say it? This green by itself comes off almost synthetic looking. That's why usually I want to throw in a little bit of another color in it, just to dull it down just a little bit. So, okay. But basically we're going for kind of like a yellow-green with just a tinge of brown in it. Maybe a little more green. Maybe I put too much brown in it. Let's see. Okay, that's good. So we're just going to do a wash, use a good amount of water. And then just do a wash. Just a straight wash right there. And just cover that in. Actually, I'm going to rinse that. I'm actually going to pick up some of that back off of the paper. I feel like that's too strong. It'll distract from the Pegasus. That's better. I'll rinse that off. And I'm going to get a little bit of brown. And I'm actually just going to mix in the brown with the gray over here. And I'm just going to use that to fill in this right here. The cliff. The earth and rock portion of the cliff that the Pegasus is leaping off of. Okay, looks good. We are on a roll. We're like 50% done here. This is probably the fastest one in the entire book. Okay, so while that's drying, let's go ahead and get some of the blue for the background. And just a light blue, get a good amount of water on it. Maybe a little more blue. Let me test that out. Yeah, a little more blue. Okay. Yeah, get more. So what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate more blue over here. But then as we bring it out, we're going to do it kind of in strips and picking up the texture of the paper underneath by pressing down with the brush. So what we're doing is we're trying to give the appearance of light rays coming from the top. Let me show you what I mean. So we'll start off down here. You have some blue here, and we're just going to drag it out like that. And you see, as you press into the paper, you pick up the texture, which gives you those nice brush strokes. So that's what we're going for. It gives a nice effect, as if the Pegasus is flying up towards wherever the light is coming from. And back here, behind the Pegasus, we're just going to do a flat wash. So this is all just going to be filled in with blue. So we're not going to worry about any texture or anything else other than just filling in this color back here. Okay. Okay. And now as we get up here, we're going to start laying in more of a texture to suggest going towards the light rays. Just be careful around the face. You definitely don't want to mess up the face. So like that. Maybe like that. A little bit of that. See how you can get that nice paper texture just by kind of rubbing in the brush into the paper. There we go. And rinse off our brush. So we're pretty much done there. The next thing that we can do is maybe grab a little bit of brown and some of that green. Maybe a little bit of this gray. Mix it in with the green. And what we're trying to get here is something that we can put down as a shadow from where the Pegasus is taken off. We'll go right here. Like that. So that's one of the hind legs. It's closer. The other one's a little further. Like that. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. And then I'm going to grab some brown here and mix it up with this. And get some dark blue. And get some more brown. And now we can go ahead and throw some texture and shadow into the earth part of it. Right here. Kind of like that. Maybe just a few short strokes to show the shadow from the grass that's coming down. Go like that. A few angles here and there, just because to show that there's rock down there. A little bit right there. Maybe right there. Okay, so that's good. And rinse off our brush. So honestly, we're pretty much done here. So you are welcome to just leave the image like this. It's perfectly fine. The only thing that I'm going to do is, like the previous pages, just to stay consistent, I'm just going to add some outline. And you can use just a regular pen, it works fine. I'm just using this just because it's long enough to where I don't have to block the camera so people can see what I'm doing. So here we go. I'm gonna put an outline there. that. Maybe add a bunch in the feathers. Okay. Okay, that looks good. Just a little bit at a time. There we go. And then maybe a little bit of a texture here on the wings. Like that. And it does not have to be perfect. You can even be a little more loose with it if you'd like. Give it like a more expressive feel. Here in the hair, we're just gonna do some wavy lines. I'm gonna add some short, quick strokes just to show the texture of the hair. I'm gonna do a nice line right there. There's more darkness in this area since the light is coming from this side. So I'm just gonna outline that, the hind legs more. It's a more bold line. It's also under the belly. So there we go. Here for the hooves, maybe do a little more black there. Since the hooves are black, like that. Add some short lines for the texture of the tail. Just kind of show that there's strands of hair there. Okay, and then back of the front leg here. The other one like that. Like that. Okay, and then underneath the jowls, and definitely outlining the eyeball and the ear, and then the wings here. That's pretty much it. Honestly, you can add more if you want, but I think that looks, quite frankly, that looks really great just for how quickly we did it. Wow. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for that one. We did it in what, like 18 minutes? Not bad. I think this is the fastest page out of the entire book. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and tag me whenever you're done with yours. I love seeing what people do with them. And with that, I will see you in the next video.